Well, NBC's Brian Moore joins us live in Washington. Brian, give us a wrap-up of what we've been hearing today.
Hi, Nora. Well, in a lot of ways, this is really a social conservative Tea Party. About 2,000 people gathered in this ballroom throughout the day to hear not just speakers like Mike Huckabee, but also Carrie Prejean, the woman who could have been Miss USA, Stephen Baldwin, the reality show actor. But for the most part, off of this stage, it's Congressman Roy Blunt who's speaking right now. A very middle-of-the-road kind of message. They are talking about abortion and gay rights, but they're also talking about big government. But coming up tomorrow, there's going to be a very interesting breakout session, a couple of them, in fact. Let's go over some of the titles. Certainly eyebrow-raising here. Here's some of the titles here. True Tolerance, Countering the Homosexual Agenda in Public Schools. Obamacare, Rationing Your Life Away. Global Warming Hysteria, the New Face of the Pro-Death Agenda. And Thugocracy, Fighting the Vast Left-Wing Conspiracy. These are just some of the things that are going on here tomorrow that people will be talking about. For the most part, though, off this stage, it's been a sort of inclusive agenda of a way to bring in more conservatives. And somebody here not liking what we're talking about right now. Nora?
And it looks like
You're being rude.
We're invited guests.
That's too bad.
And we're doing live television.
You're being rude. You can get out of here.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well,
not everybody's a fan of MSNBC today.
I guess they don't want to hear people know what's going on in their value summit, even though the press hasn't been invited in, huh?
Well, actually, Fox is getting shouted down a little bit right now, too, so I guess it's equal opportunity shouting down. But let's talk about some of the...
about the fact that you are interrupting and being disrespectful to people who are trying to listen.
Okay.
Try and interview her, Brian.
Thank you.
Would you mind? This is about the rudest thing you could do.
We're on live with MSNBC. Please don't touch the microphone. Tell us what your thought is.
My thought is that you are rude to do this in front of the public.
Okay, even though we're a credentialed press brought here to tell your story and bring it out to the world, instead of 2,000 people.
Yeah, we got to take you out.
All right.
Okay. Time you've done that. We can't hear. We cannot hear when you are broadcasting. All we're asking is that you step outside when we're trying to listen because you are very distracting. That's all we are asking. To not be distracting.
Okay, and you are?
Yeah. I am Linda Putz, and I paid to come here to listen, not to be disrupted.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, Brian,
Linda.
it sounds like
continue our report now.
Brian, it sounds like the people that organized that Values Voter Summit didn't organize it very well because they didn't seem to put the press in a way where you guys could do reporting about what's going on and not be harassed. I mean, they have a right to hear it, but you guys also have a right to report.
Absolutely.
Well, not only that,
the security people just grabbed somebody and escorted them right out. So
a member of the press, or the people that were harassing you?
No, excuse me. One of the gentlemen was here joining our live shot just a moment ago. Was escorted out and asked to leave.
Okay.
And well, it's great live television. You want to talk about the candidates in the straw poll? That's pretty interesting
Brian,
too.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, and I understand too that of course Sarah Palin and Newt Gingrich are not there, but they will be part of the straw poll. NBC's Brian Moore, you're a good man for holding down the fort there, even though getting heckled by some of the people there. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Monica, I would have interrupted, but I thought it made good television to really see what goes on at a lot of these events, because a lot of times people come over to reporters and shout us down and say get out of here, even though we're allowing more people to see what's going on there.
Not only that, as you said, he's telling the story, but also those cameras. We can't just make television quietly. I thought he was being as respectful as possible, but clearly they knew those cameras were set up there. It's not just one person walking in. You've got a cameraman, a crew, sound guys. I mean, so it was obvious that they were there set up, the credential press, and as he referenced, there were other networks there as well, other channels. So this couldn't have been a surprise.
Close it to the press. They're welcome to close their private event to the press if they don't want us there. All those people paid for it, but they didn't do that. They invited the press in, and then they're rude to the press.
Well, in their defense, though, we're not sure exactly who it was, right? Because the one woman talked about, I paid to come here, so that makes me think maybe she's not one of the organizers. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm sure Brian will find out exactly who was coming up.
I mean, they got to pay for the event, so I think people who come and attend and listen to all these great speakers have to pay a fee. But anyway,
I can't imagine they'd invite them in. That's amazing.
Yeah, Monica Novotny, pretty.
Well, Rick, we are getting some protests from people who are attending this event that we should not be speaking during the person who's addressing the event right now, Congressman Roy Blunt of Missouri. We have seen some members of the crowd come up to the reporters who are doing live shots, including our colleagues from another TV organization, and protesting that we're doing this. So if I'm yanked from this position in the middle of this live shot, you'll have to bear with me. We have had a number of speakers here this morning, including Mike Huckabee, Carrie Prejean, the former Miss USA contestant, Eric Cantor, the #2 Republican in the House, and a number of others. It is kind of becoming a must-attend event, Rick, for presidential hopefuls. As you can see, there's a gentleman who's trying to crowd into my live shot right now, trying to prevent us from continuing our work here. Excuse me, sir, I'm doing my job. I'm a reporter, and we're actually showing your event on television. So if you want to interrupt that, that's what you're accomplishing right now. Excuse me, please.
No.
I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job.
You stop.
Excuse me, sir. You're interrupting my work right now.
You're interrupting
please,
all of us.
Please, you're causing a disturbance. Well, Rick, I guess what is best would be that to avoid a further confrontation, we no longer broadcast from here. So we'll throw it back to you.
Well, that's too bad because obviously we want to get word out. A lot of people are interested in this Value Voters Summit that's taking place, but at the same time I can relate as having covered events like that before, where you're in a room and people want to listen to a speaker. I'm sure they're just trying to listen intently to what everybody is saying up there. But James, we'll get back to you perhaps maybe a little bit later on when there's a break in between speakers, so that we can get the news out to people around the country who want to know what's happening in D.C. So thanks very much for bearing with that. James, we'll talk to you soon. When we come back, a couple is